So hello, and I want to welcome everyone to this webinar where we'll be describing the Empowering Parenting Students Through a Community of Practice initiative. I'm Carol Hedgepeth. I'm the Deputy Director at EdTrust West, and I'm happy to see you all virtually here to learn more about the Alliance's important initiative to offer technical assistance to California's community colleges to support parenting students. So, oh, sorry about that. For today's agenda, I'm going to make some introductions to my esteemed colleagues who will be leading this work. They'll provide an overview of who the parenting students are in California. They will also define what a community of practice is and how being a part of one offers value and support to program participants, and how the details for applying will fall into place. They will also give you information about application materials and deadlines. There will also be an opportunity for you all to ask questions that you may have about this initiative, and then after that, we'll close out. So the Empowering Parenting Students Through a Community of Practice initiative is being offered through the California Alliance for Student Parent Success. It's also known as the Alliance, and it is administered by both the Education Trust West and California Competes. EdTrust West is committed to advancing policies and practices to dismantle racial and economic barriers embedded in California's education system. And California Competes is a nonpartisan policy and research organization focused on identifying solutions to California's most critical higher education and workforce issues. Now on to introduction. I'm introducing the team that's leading this work. Again, I'm Carol Hedgepeth, Deputy Director at EdTrust West. I work alongside Jamila Espinosa, who is the Educator Engagement Associate here at EdTrust West. And I also work alongside Maya Valry, who is the Alliance Lead and Policy Analyst around parenting students here at EdTrust West. I will turn it over to Maya now to talk more about the mission, vision, and goals of the Alliance.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carol. And thank you for the very warm introduction. So before we get into the application materials and dive into the community of practice, I really want to just level set on who the California Alliance for Student Parent Success is and our activities and our mission and vision and whatnot. So for those unfamiliar, the Alliance, again, like Carol said, is led by EdTrust West and California Competes. And we bring together diverse stakeholders across different sectors that are really interested in championing the post-secondary success and well-being of student parents in California. One of the things I want to uplift is that not only are we interested and invested in the post-secondary success and well-being of currently enrolled parenting students, we're also, a lot of our work encompasses trying to strengthen pathways for the almost 4 million parenting Californians that don't have a college degree. So our work is in essentially twofold, looking at and supporting resources and strengthening resources and services for currently enrolled student parents, so the 400,000 plus, and also the almost 4 million parenting students without a college degree. So our mission and our vision, the Alliance really envisions a brighter California for student parents and their families, one where higher ed education systems equitably support and empower students on their path to degree attainment. So really, as well as securing, employment. So really within and beyond higher education. We work towards our vision through our mission, and our mission is research, through policy advocacy, capacity building. So what we're and why you all are here today, and community engagement. We work to again supporting the post-secondary success of and comprehensive well-being of California student parents and their families. So the Alliance has two overarching goals, both of which are rooted in increasing degree attainment for parenting students, particularly single mothers. And so our first goal is we want to solidify the Alliance as a key source of information for students, practitioners, policymakers. And our second goal is we want to shift policies, practices, resources, beliefs, decisions, all in favor of parenting students and single mothers. And so I want to uplift really the second goal today is because technical assistance or capacity building, again, while you're all here today, I think is going to help us. The work that we do with you all is going to help us really achieve that second goal and meet that second goal in shifting big P, so big policies or big P and little p, so the state policies as well as institutional policies and practices. Some of you may be thinking, what does the Alliance do? So you learned about our mission and our vision, but the Alliance has four anchoring activities. And so these, as you can see here, are our main buckets of work. There's again, policy advocacy, capacity building, research and analysis, and community engagement. And so our policy advocacy emerges from identified student parent needs, like our co-sponsored legislation, the Gains for Student Parents Act, excuse me, our capacity building. We provide research and implementation guidance for colleges that is student serving, removes barriers, and improves programmatic initiatives. In our research and analysis, we conduct research to inform policy and practices that best support student parents and their families. And lastly, our community engagement. We convene folks. We work to support and strengthen cross-sector efforts to support that systems change. But more importantly, through our community engagement, we really strive to empower student parents, to get student parents in the same room as decision makers and change makers. So again, trying to shift it all in support really to shift policies and practices. Who are California student parents? So there are 300,000 undergrad parenting students who comprise 12% of the student population. There is also 100,000 graduate students. So that totals across grad and undergrad about 400,000 student parents in California. There are also, so student parents, like many of you probably know, are more likely to be of color. So 72% of student parents are either Black, Latinx, Asian, Pacific Islander, or Native American. Student parents more likely to be female. So 15% of female students have children, which is almost double the amount of the 8% of male students that have children. Student parents more likely to be older. So 34 is the median age of a student parent compared to their non-parenting peer, which is 21. So more likely to be older. Also more likely to be first gen. So 61% of student parents are the first in their family to go to college, compared to 50% of their non-parenting peers. This is important because for our first gen students, because if we support their degree attainment, if we support these currently enrolled parenting students, their degree attainment, then it's likely that their children will go to college. It's likely that we through our partnership with you all in this capacity building and supporting the degree attainment of parenting students, we have an opportunity to really establish like college going behavior. So wanted to uplift that. So as you can see, parenting students sit at multiple intersections. Student parents, where do they live? They're more likely to live in rural and inland regions. So as you can see on this heat map here, they're less likely to live along the coastal, so those lighter areas. less likely to live along there, where more of our colleges are actually located. Some of the areas include the Inland Empire with higher parenting students, so the Inland Empire, the Central Sierra, and the San Joaquin Valley. So we encourage everyone to apply, but if you're a community college in some of in the more rural and inland regions, we really encourage you to apply, because from the data that we have shows that, parenting students live here, live in these areas, and really would benefit from strengthening policies and practices at respective institutions. So now I'm going to pass it over to Jamila to share the overarching goals of our community of practice.
Perfect. Thank you, Maya. In this slide, I'll be providing an overview of the two main goals of the Community of Practice, or COP, and then I'll be moving into discussing the greater context of the community's framework and close out with a preview of the application process and of the application components. So our first goal is that by the end of the Community of Practice, participating colleges will conduct or refine data collection on parenting students. And our second goal is that by the end of the COP, participating colleges will identify at least 2 policies or practices to implement that better serve parenting students. And so the goals of this community of practice are really drawn from the Alliance's goals, as shared by my colleague Maya, and based on empowering participating colleges in making decisions that support parenting students and single mothers, again, with the ultimate goal of increasing post-secondary attainment. And so on the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the program benefits. So now that you have a little bit more information about the goals, here's some more details about what those benefits could look like. So to start off, participants gain access to technical assistance, including research support and practical implementation guidance. This ensures that colleges can effectively address any challenges related to parenting students and equity. Next, the community of practice framework really allows for engaging with peers and allowing participants to learn from each other's experiences. These opportunities for shared problem solving foster collaborative solutions and innovative approaches. The in-kind technical assistance is valued at $75,000. And again, this assistance will provide essential supports to enhance community colleges' efforts of supporting parenting students and single mothers. And additionally, to reduce financial barriers and ensure broader participant engagement, we will be providing travel reimbursement for the in-person kickoff session in Oakland, California on September 23rd, 2024. And so on the next slide, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about what the community of practice looks like. So we've been using this term community of practice throughout the presentation. And I wanted to take a moment to contextualize this framework within EdTrust West's approach to collaborating with communities. As a member of the educator engagement team, I'd like to highlight that we have a long-standing commitment to working directly with schools, districts, county offices of education, and we're thrilled to expand our efforts into the higher education world. Our team actively partners with educators and administrators to carry out comprehensive equity reviews, as well as strategic blueprint for action plans. Now we're excited to apply these same principles to our work in higher education in collaboration with the Alliance. So what is a community of practice? Typically, a community of practice model revolves around a common issue, problem, or specific topic. Participants join these spaces with both individual and group goals in mind. And while they may come from different institutions, locations, and contexts, their collective focus remains on addressing the common issue. And this approach is what we look to uplift in this COP. So here, the Alliance's community of practice is a process to learn alongside others engaged in identifying inequities and developing action plans rooted in research-based practices that eliminate barriers to parenting student success and well-being. And so I'm going to cover a little bit more about logistics in the next slide. And so now that we've set the stage with the overarching approach to this opportunity, I'm going to provide some logistical background. So in total, there will be 6 community of practice sessions, and the first session will be held in person at EdTrust West Education Equity Forum in Oakland, California on September 23rd, 2024. And so again, I want to mention that we will be covering transportation expenses for participants to attend the in-person kickoff session. And finally, the remaining 5 sessions will be held virtually, occurring from October 2024 through February 2025. Okay, and so I'm going to move on to the next slide and talk a little bit about the application. So you may be thinking to yourself, wow, this looks like a great opportunity. When can I apply? And the answer is now. We're excited to announce that our application is live and open on the California Alliance for Student Parent Success website. And our priority application deadline is June 1st, 2024 at 5:00 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to pause here so that you have a moment to either scan the QR code or type in the URL, both of which will take you to the live Google Form application. Additionally, I'm going to invite my colleague, Esme, to drop the application link in the chat as well. And as an important note, you must be logged into a Google account to be able to access the application. And so I'm going to pause quickly here just so you can double check the application. So in total, the application should take approximately 25 minutes to complete, not inclusive of the time spent gathering document signatures and additional information needed. Once you begin the application, you may save it and return to it as needed. And so in the next slide, I'm going to talk a bit about the supporting documents and additional documents that we have prepared for you. So now that you've had a chance to preview the application, here are some of the documents that we have prepared for you to finish the application, namely the request for application, which is also known as the RFA, the frequently asked questions, also known as the FAQ, and we also have a letter of support template. So for anyone who is interested in accessing these, my colleague Esme will provide chat support here by linking these materials. The RFA document is a call to all potential applicants and provides even more details about the background of the program and goes into even greater details than we have time for today. The FAQ is a list of potential frequently asked questions that might come up as you prepare your application. And finally, the letter of support template is really meant to guide you through what we are looking for in a letter of support. And I'll be going over some additional details in the next slide. One really important consideration of applying or not is whether your campus meets the eligibility requirements outlined in the RFA and in the application. They are as follows. So applicants are required to be a California community college. They are required to have the support of the campus president or the support of at least 3 distinct programs on campus, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. They must have 6 members willing to serve on the institutional term or the institutional team from September 2024 to February 2025. They must be willing to develop and execute an action plan, which will include at least 2 policies and practices, and be willing to conduct or refine campus data collection related to single mothers and parenting students. So again, reaching back to the goals of the COP. And so now I'm going to review the application questions in the next slide. So these questions are directly from the Google form, and I'm just going to outline them here. So some additional details and questions from the application include what resources or initiatives are available to support parenting students at your institution, if any? How will participating in the single mothers and parenting students community of practice strengthen existing supports or facilitate new initiatives for your institution's parenting students? Do you know how many parenting students are enrolled at your campus? And what are your desired outcomes for participating in the single mothers and parenting students of community of practice? So those are the questions. Again, if you're having any issues, make sure that you are signed in to a Google account to be able to access the form. And so I'm going to talk about the letter of support in this slide. There are some important considerations in the guidelines for the letter of support, so please make sure to ask any questions or refer back to the supporting materials if you have any doubts while preparing your application. So applications must include a letter of support signed by the campus president, required if a member of campus leader. So let me start that over and make that very clear. A letter of support signed by the campus president is required if a member of campus leadership, for example, the dean of students, does not complete the application. Additionally, a letter of support is signed by leaders of 3 relevant campus programs, for example, the Women's Resource Center, the Campus Child Care Center, or the Extended Opportunities and Programs Department. Is required if a member of campus leadership completes the application. Now, some of you may be wondering, why are you requiring a letter of support? So we are requiring a letter of support because we believe with the LOS, it will help break down silos and promote inclusive decision-making, increasing the likelihood of successful implementation of the action plan, which again is one of the deliverables of this community of practice. It's an opportunity to see alignment between the school campus and the goals of the COP. And if you have any questions or doubts about how to make your letter of support, please do reference the template. It has additional wording that you may use, so please make sure to use it as needed. And I know that was a lot of information we just went over. And right now is a really good time for us to pause and go over some of the questions that you might be having. So if you haven't already, please feel free to include them in the chat, and we will go ahead and field them as we see them.
We have one question in the Q&A. Jamila, I don't know if you want to read it out loud. Everyone.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question from Lisa. Lisa says, hi, I'm a Guided Pathways Regional Coordinator with the Foundation for California Community Colleges, working in and for the Central Valley. We have a statewide community of practice that we started last year where we bring college practitioners together to share resources to help them in their work with this population of students. They share promising practices and struggles/opportunities for improvement. We promote the Alliance as a resource for them, and I wonder if there is a possible collaboration opportunity here.
I can jump in here. Thanks so much, Lisa. Yeah, I think definitely I'll put my email in the chat. But the Alliance is, again, going back to kind of, we want to solidify, we want to collaborate, we want to work with folks that are already doing this work. So I think that there is definitely an opportunity to collaborate. But I'll send you my email so we can connect offline.
Okay, and I'm seeing another question. Will there be a PDF version of the questions to work on before beginning the application? And then somebody else is having, okay, sorry, before we go to that one. Well, all of these slides will be shared with you following today's presentations in PDF form. And so these questions were copied and pasted from the Google form. But if you're having any issue of, what if I'm working on something and then it disappears, or will I be able to access it again? Your answers will be saved as you work on the form. But we will be sharing the slides of today's presentations following the webinar.